we're going to be making a traditional Irish soda bread. So what makes this bread so amazing is that it doesn't take yeast and it doesn't take any kind of a starter. Instead, you use cultured buttermilk and you also use baking soda, and those two things, when you combine them, they form a chemical reaction that helps to help your bread rise. Now, if you don't have buttermilk, you can actually substitute that for some whole milk that you're going to add a little bit of vinegar to. Or if you have a little bit of sour milk, that works as good. So we're going to start off by taking our buttermilk, which is 1 3/4 cup of buttermilk. And we're going to take 1 egg and we're just going to whisk those together. I'm just going to take my egg, put that right into the buttermilk, and we're going to give it a quick whisk. And that's my oven preheating. I have it preheating to 400 degrees. You just want to get this nice and mixed up so all the egg is mixed in with the buttermilk. And then we're going to set this aside. So after we put our buttermilk and our egg together, we're going to take 4 1/4 cups of flour. To that, we're going to add a teaspoon of salt. We're going to add 3 tablespoons of sugar. And we're going to add 1 teaspoon of baking soda. We're just going to whisk these all together. All right. To that, we're going to take our cold butter. I've got 5 tablespoons of butter that have been cut into very small little cubes. If you have a pastry cutter or something like that, you just, use that. Typically, I use a food processor to kind of process my butter and flour, but this time I don't want to process it so much. I want the butter to be like the texture of like small peas. So I'm not going to put it together like I usually do. Now remember, we're using buttermilk, so there's going to be a lot more butter in here than just the butter we're adding. But all I'm going to do is just use my fingers. Like I said, you can use a pastry cutter if you like, but you just want to get this butter to the texture of small peas. And this butter is going to be what helps build these holes in your bread. It's going to make it really, really good. Not to mention the taste and the flavor. All right, as long as there's no huge pieces of butter in here, we're going to go ahead and add our buttermilk mixture. See how easy this is? It's a very simple bread to make. So then all I'm going to do is just give this buttermilk another quick stir. Just make sure any egg is stirred into it. And I'm going to add that right in with my flour mixture. Now to this, I'm going to start off with my fork. We're not going to need this a lot. We just want this to basically come together. So we are going to give this a couple little quick stirs. And you just take a look at this. If you need it to come together more than this, you can always add a little bit more buttermilk. At this point, I'm going to use my hand so that I can see how much it comes together. I don't want to knead it a lot, but I do need it to form a ball so that we can have our dough. And I'm actually going to add a little bit more buttermilk to this. It's, I actually like mine to be a little bit more wet, the dough. Well, let me take a look at it. I don't know, it does seem to be coming together. You don't have to let this rise. You don't have to do anything like that to your dough. And I am going to cook this in I'm going to cook this bread in you can put it in really anything. If you want to use a baking sheet or a cast iron skillet, that's what I'm going to be using. But basically, this is all we're going to do. Now, if you want to add raisins to this or some kind of seeds to it, you would have probably done that before you added the buttermilk. But there we go. I'm going to go ahead and just grease my pan a little bit more because I'm not going to put any parchment paper in my baking pan, my cast iron pan. All right, so all we're gonna do at this point is we are gonna add some, I put a little bit more grapeseed oil on the bottom of my pan, and all I'm gonna do is just kind of pick up this dough. I don't wanna really overwork it, so all I'm gonna do is just kind of roll it into the pan, just like this, just like that. You don't have to worry about how it's formed together too much, because Irish soda bread is kind of different. It's going to be a bread that's going to look kind of textured and rough. It's not going to be a real pretty bread, but it's going to be a very tasty bread. All right. Now I'm just going to go ahead and just put that like this. And then I'm going to take an oiled knife and I'm just going to cut an X in the middle of it. All right, so all I'm going to do is cut a little X here, just like this. So you're going to bake this in a 400-degree oven for anywhere between 40 to 50 minutes, and we'll check on it in just a little bit. Our Irish soda bread is all finished and it looks beautiful. I can't wait to try it. Let me show you how it looks. So you can see it has risen so much, and I've got it here in this cast iron pan. I'm just gonna kind of loosen it up a little bit here, and then I'm gonna put it on top of this wire rack. So this pan's very hot, so I'm gonna have to kind of do this very carefully. That was easy. All right. Wow, that is absolutely beautiful. Let's take a look at this bread. Oh my goodness. That came out amazing. Look at how much it rose. It's all kind of crusty and crunchy. I wish you could smell it. It smells so good in here. So we're gonna let this rest here for a little while, and then I'm gonna cut into it and put some butter on it, and we'll give it a try. So while this bread is nice and warm, I'm gonna go ahead and cut a piece of it so that you can see just how it cuts up. It reminds me of a big biscuit. There you go. Doesn't that look beautiful? All right, let's put a little bit of butter on it and we'll give it a try. So here's our beautiful bread. I'm just gonna break a piece off here and give it a try. That's delicious. Oh my goodness. It almost has a cornbready taste. It's not cornbread. It just has a little bit different taste and texture that's just out of this world. Wow, that's 2 thumbs up. That is going to taste so good tomorrow for St. Patrick's Day, because tomorrow I'm going to be making a delicious cottage pie. This is an Irish cottage pie. It's going to be so good and so delicious. I'm going to serve it with my Irish soda bread, and it is going to be so good. I'm also going to be making a video on making some fermented sauerkraut. I've got 5 heads of cabbage that I was able to pick up today at 29 cents a pound. It was almost free. So I'm going to be making cabbage for the whole year. So I hope you'll join me tomorrow. We'll have our soda bread, our shepherd's pie, and we'll be making sauerkraut. If you're not a subscriber to my channel, will you consider subscribing? Thanks so much. So have a nice St. Patrick's Day.